things.
Wait, I have one more secret to tell.
Well, it's too late now. You'll have to send it to us in the secret team chat.
Yep, secret team chat. So secret. Speaking of which, I'm going to put a secret message in the secret team chat so everybody's secret knows.
It's a juicy one. Yes.
It's not juicy at all.
That's a good secret.
It's actually quite dry. Drier than Donald Trump's steak. I'm sorry. Anyway, I believe we are about ready here.
Did you put the Fab on the thing?
I didn't, but I can. Hold on, let me just go ahead and fabricate that.
Wherever you want.
Oh, you have a review ready for it?
I'm working on the review. It's
Okay, I'm gonna put it in here then.
Eventually.
It's gonna be titled Fabulous.
Maybe. It might also be something really snarky because
Fabulous.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and social us there. And then I'm going to start recording. And spoiler alert, I'm still pretty jet lagged and did not get to sleep almost at all last night. It was not good. All right, so let's go ahead and I'll do the sponsor thing. This week's Android Please podcast is brought to you by Linode. Check them out at linode.com/Android Please to get a free $20 service credit.
Welcome to the Android Police Podcast, your weekly audio source for all things Android. It is Friday, November 18th, 2016. I'm your host, Matthew Smith.
I'm David Ruddick.
I'm Liam Spradlin.
I'm Ryan Whitwam.
And we are a day late, but we're a dollar short too. We're just everything
$2
wrong this week. It's all David's fault, so blame him. I'm sure you were anyways.
It is my fault.
Hey, David, I just wanted you to know, and I wanted this to be on the show apparently because I otherwise would have said it earlier. So my kids got this new game and we played it tonight, and I called the David Ruddick game because it's all about getting randomly smashed in the face with a pie.
Wow, that sounds like it could become an expensive game relatively quickly.
Unless you just use whipped cream. It's just whipped cream.
Although David's pies were anything but random. They were carefully considered bets that he lost.
They were carefully considered selections from the fine bakery at Ralph's grocery store.
Somehow I think that when they put the ages 6 and up sticker on the board game, they thought we should probably not base this on making random predictions about Android. So they tried to make it more accessible.
Yeah, it would take a really long time to play the game.
We have a few things to talk about that are more Android-y related than pies in the face, although it's pretty Android related.
I mean, not that much less.
All right, so let's talk about items, shipping, and pre-ordering, and all that good stuff. So the Google Wi-Fi again announced October 4th, along with everything else, and being the last one to ship, is shipping on the 5th, but you can pre-order it now, if you so desire. Of course, comes in a single unit for $129 or a 3-pack. Yes, a 3-pack of routers for $300. So, Ryan, of course, you pre-ordered a 3-pack because you are so in love with all of the Google Wi-Fi products you've gotten so far.
I'm still using my OnHub, so I guess.
So you ordered a 3-pack because you're going to use one of them to just beat the OnHub into submission, right? You're just going to smash it.
I mean, you know what? I don't really hate the OnHub. It's gotten the app has gotten a lot better, and it does almost everything that I want it to do. But there are obviously things I dislike about it. I'm probably not going to buy Google Wi-Fi just because the OnHub covers my house fine. But I don't know who would buy an OnHub now. I don't know why you would do that to yourself.
Yeah.
Do they still have it listed on the store?
The Google store? That's a good question. I don't actually know. I know that they had been selling some of them, the Asus ones, at Target for super duper clearance prices.
Yeah, they've been on sale a couple times.
Google has said that OnHub will continue on as a OEM partnership.
Yeah, they still have both. They still
Yep.
have both on hubs on the Google Store, and they're both still $200. Which give me a break,
Yeah.
Google. Come on.
Ripping pieces on hub.
Yes. And you can still get the bamboo case for it if you want.
Oh
So,
boy, there's no bamboo for Google Wi-Fi.
no bamboo for
Comes in
Google
white
Wi-Fi. That's true.
or white.
I bet you could fit like 3 Google Wi-Fis inside one of these bamboo cases for the on hub, though.
Hey, does the Google Wi-Fi have a functional USB port?
It does not.
Well,
No.
then I guess it's not that much better than the on hub.
USB.
What I kind of wonder about, so on the Google Wi-Fi, there's 2 gigabit ports. Presumably, one is a LAN port, one is a WAN port. So if you've got it networked wirelessly to another one, can you repurpose the WAN port as another LAN port?
It intelligently will repurpose it. So
Nice.
they are, I believe, I'm not sure if one of them is WAN LAN and one is LAN only, or if both of them can be WAN. But I remember watching the video thing that we posted about, and yeah, it's like, oh, you can switch your WANs to your LANs. And
Sweet.
that's the thing.
Switch your WANs to your LANs.
That's the title of the episode.
Mm.
Go ahead.
So if you happen to be one of the folks who pre-ordered the Daydream View VR headset, or I'm sorry, if you pre-ordered the Pixel or Pixel XL, I got this backwards. Of course, there was promises of free Daydream View VR headsets, and those codes went out this week for some people. I know a friend of mine actually got an email saying that it's going to be coming later because you just were too slow or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we got an email from somebody too saying that theirs had shipped on the FedEx site, but that it wouldn't arrive for 2 weeks, even though it said departed facility.
Yeah, I don't think FedEx actually
Well, they're
ships things
shipping-
that slowly. So, I mean,
They're
unless it was
shipping
coming direct
In all
from-
seriousness, they're shipping SmartPost if you choose the Saver. And SmartPost doesn't take that long, but sometimes it has no idea how long it's actually going to take. I have actually yet to have something shipped SmartPost where it said the proper arrival date within the first 2 days of shipping. Just it seems like it's always wrong with SmartPost. That's just my experience, anyways.
More like dump post.
Yeah, for real.
Sorry. Actually, it should have been more like shit post, but this is a family show.
Yes,
I mean,
which is
yeah,
clearly
more,
why
I
you said it anyways.
I got mine already, but they are not offering the red one yet.
Yeah.
And
I wanted the red one because then I could have had a Daydream View that matched both my shoes and a shirt I own. Which would have been good.
Would be perfect. Your airplane outfit.
Yes.
All right, so yeah, so you should order those if you've got your code, and if you didn't get your code, you should check your spam filter.
Or you can
Not
just
that
go
Google
yell
would-
at Google. You could do that too.
Yeah, just go to Mountain View, just mosey up to the main building and just start screaming about your Daydream View.
Google also has convenient buildings to yell at in Los Angeles, Atlanta, and New York, or London. You can yell at Google in many locations.
Well, they got data centers too. So there's a data center in Charlotte.
You could go yell at the data centers.
Yeah, you could yell at Google
I don't
in
know
a
if they would
variety
hear
of
you.
different ways.
Yeah, I don't know if the
There's even a
screaming-
Google kiosk. Most likely, there's a Google kiosk in your local Best Buy that you could yell at if you wanted
I wonder
to
if you went to a
Discord.
Google data center and said, "Okay, Google," if all of the servers at once respond in a giant super voice.
You've unlocked the Google group mind.
The Google
They
Plex.
say, "Can I help you, Dave?" But it's not just because of you being David. It's actually everybody they call Dave.
You know, it's weird. My Google Home heard that all the way in the other room.
Those microphones are really good.
Yeah.
They are really
It's
good.
actually kind of
I
creepy.
can tell you.
I'm gonna go close the door.
I mean, Google is listening to us all the time now, and we just have to deal with that.
I will tell you the one thing that I learned very quickly is that I am much less annoyed by my Google Home if I say "Hey Google" instead of "Okay Google."
Yeah, I've taken to doing that, but then like I try to do it with my phone and I forget which one I'm supposed to use, and I use the wrong one, and then yeah, then I have to do it again. And at that point, I could have just like probably done like with touching the thing that I was going to tell it to do with voice.
All right, so we got an update this week that rolled out to Google Play Music, a totally new looking interface, some new recommendations, and yeah, so it's also doing a better job apparently with offline storage for your frequently listened to music. I don't know. I played around with it a little bit. It just seems like a new wrapper to me, but wrapper with a W.
I was going to ask if its first album has dropped.
It seems bizarre to me that like the front page and the screen where you can see downloaded music, if you're in downloaded only mode, are completely new and different from anything else in the app, and the rest is just
and from each other.
Yeah,
I find it really annoying. I find it really annoying that in the screen that it always gives me, the text on the album cover and the text from your recents overlap each other and make it like really headache inducing trying to read it. I don't know if that's coming through on the video feed or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also, it's also weird to me that they're taking the like recommended playlists, like pre-gaming, staying in, whatever, those kinds of playlists, and they're just like sprinkled throughout all of your other stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I will happily ignore this change to the Google Play Music app. It is no.
Do you actually use Play Music, or are you?
I do use it, but like I use the radio feature and my library and search. I don't understand why they made such a big to-do out of what is like a single screen. Like it's a single page in the app, and it's not a very good page.
Yeah, it looks very unlike other Google apps. It looks like, you know what it reminds me of? One of those like fancy promo web pages you go to where the entire thing is like a vertical scroll of like blocks. Yeah. And no matter how far you scroll down, it still just goes like piece by piece. It's got that kind of vibe.
But actually, the new Play Movies, or not Play Movies, Play Newsstand update has like similar type treatments and like a similar search bar and stuff.
So does anybody actually use Play Newsstand?
I mean, I'm using it right now because I'm looking at the new design, but that's
I tried. So I tried to add. I added my subscription to a magazine on there that doesn't have an app, and you can add a home screen shortcut to magazines you subscribe to, which is handy. But yeah, I would never use it for like its like home screen like news aggregation functionality. Like Google just wants it to be the Apple News of Android, and
I don't even particularly want Apple News.
If only Google had a news application of sorts.
Maybe it could combine weather too.
That actually sounds logical.
So I just realized that my phone doesn't even have Newsstand on it. And
it's one of the options.
Does it have Old Stand?
Nope.
Oh, come on. It also, one of the other lovely things about the new Newsstand update, while we're off the topic, is it has like a blank hamburger drawer that just has settings because it's switched to the bottom bar, which, as we know, is
that bothers me so much.
Like we left it there for the users who used it to discover that it's now useless.
A lot of apps do that where they have a nav bar with like one or two things in it, and then like some of them also have an overflow menu button, and then they have a bottom bar. And it's like, why are you doing this?
But there's also the hamburger menu is like conditional too. Like if you go into library, then this extra little toggle switch pops up. So it's not even a predictable element. Anyway, but Play Music had an update.
Yeah.
All right, so we got lots of it felt like every announcement about Google products this week was regarding machine learning. So apparently Google got really good at machine learning this week. Starting off with the Razor image upscaling functionality that they announced. So apparently they can make your images appear to be higher resolution than they already are. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's basically the CSI enhance button for real life.
Yeah,
it's actually pretty fancy.
Pretty fancy.
So it takes an image of a given resolution, and if you were to zoom in on that image, like say 100%, scale, the Razor engine can then decide, using advanced machine learning, how should this image probably look? And it gives you much better edge detail, I think, is probably the most noticeable thing. So you don't get the pixelated effect. It's unclear when and how Google plans to implement this in any product, but it is very cool.
Yeah, the pictures that they use to talk about it were really impressive. Like it's basically, it's like anti-aliasing photos, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's exactly how. That's actually a much better description than CSI enhance button.
Yeah, but I feel like the machine learning stuff, it's all. I mean, every time Google announces it, we're like, hey, that's really cool. I hope that's a thing that we can use, and it's still a lot of the time the answer is like, well, maybe later. But this is the kind of stuff that in the next couple years will probably set Google apart from other technology companies. They're just way ahead when it comes to machine learning.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think people who like this is how things like Google Now and Google Voice commands have become so much more intelligent, just through incremental updates than Siri ever was and than S Voice ever was, because Google is approaching these problems with a set of tools that are clearly beyond the capabilities of most other companies. And this is just another fancy-dancy example of Google's machine learning capabilities.
So another example that they provide us with this week, the neural machine translation for Google Translate, apparently allowing Google's Translate program to take whole sentences of naturally spoken language and translate them as one continuous statement rather than translating the individual words, which Google has tried to do in the past, but I guess this just kind of takes it up a notch and allowing it to take larger chunks and use context a little bit better. So I guess just another example of Google pushing machine learning and its usefulness to the general public a little bit further.
Yeah, but when I saw the name of this, I immediately hoped it was like a pixel with like some robotic cyborg legs, and it just crawls up your head and then embeds itself. That is the neural machine translation. Direct interface. It's kind of what it sounds like to me. But so now basically it translates sentences instead of words, because we speak in sentences usually.
Yes, and the context of a word in many languages completely changes the way you translate the word.
Yeah.
There's a YouTube channel that I subscribe to that does videos called Google Translate Sings, based on translating song lyrics through Google Translate a bunch. So I wonder what she's going to do now.
Probably still have pretty funny songs. Let's be realistic here.
If you pass it through a couple layers, I bet it's still going to be pretty messed up.
You know what these people should do is do a channel but for Google voicemail transcription.
Yeah.
I feel like a song into Google voicemail.
I feel like there's already been a YouTube channel that's been doing that for a while called Vivo Shakira. But
oh my God.
I could be wrong.
Wow.
There go all of our Shakira fans. Matt. Thanks.
Sorry. I don't know. Have you ever actually read the English lyrics to her songs? It definitely looks like something that's just been run through Google Translate. So just throwing that out there. All right. PhotoScan app released this week. This is kind of an add-on to Google Photos that allows you to scan your hard copy photos that you have from 20 years ago or however long it was that people still used film. and get them uploaded so that they're right there with the rest of your digital photos. So the throwback Thursday app apparently.
Yeah. And it is a completely separate app from Photos.
Yes.
Even though I feel like this would have made sense as like a big update to Photos, like to make this part of it. But no, I mean, it's a separate app. But the way they do it is interesting. Instead of just like taking a picture of the photo and processing it, you take a photo to like give the app an idea of like what the general layout of the photo is. And then you just sort of move the phone around and like point it at different areas of the picture. And it just, fills in the gaps and like lines everything up and gives you a final version of the photo that doesn't have any glare or like perspective differences.
Yeah, I would bet the perspective thing is the big thing, because you want to have a profile for the lens generated essentially to remove the distortion at the edges, which would be the big. That's the whole reason that I generally, taking a picture of a photo results in a crappier picture of a photo than scanning it, because you get those aberrations from the lens at the edges. It's very, very cool.
Has anybody tried it? I haven't had a chance to use it.
I've not tried it. I was not aware it existed. I've been away for the last 3 days, and so most of what's happened has been totally unbeknownst to me.
My wife just got a bunch of old family photo albums, so I am going to use this app soon and see how good it is. See if it can save me from arduously scanning all of these photos with a real scanner.
And just think, after you do that, then you can burn them or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be, save some space. Unlimited storage on Google Photos, Ryan. Just think of the savings.
All right, so moving on, we got a little bit of carrier 411. AT&T did something kind of dumb, and I think we should mock them for it. So everybody knows about T-Mobile and their binge on, where you get 480p quality video that doesn't count against your data cap. As long as you keep it at 480p, you can opt out to get higher quality video, but then it counts against your data cap. AT&T decided that was not crappy enough and came up with a much crappier way to do this. So the Stream Saver was announced this week, and it allows you to cap your videos at 480p while still using the data towards your data cap. So all of the bad but none of the good of T-Mobile's binge on, and there you have it.
Yeah, the worst thing about this is they're going to turn it on for everybody. Like,
oh, this is opt out.
Yeah, it's opt out. Well, so is binge on. But
yeah, I mean, even though binge on is dumb, like I don't like it. At least you could make the argument that there was a benefit. There's like no benefit to the user.
No, this is just AT&T.
Well, the benefit is data usage, right? So you would be slower hitting your data caps.
I mean, but like if that really worried you, you could have turned down the video quality yourself in pretty much any app that streams video.
I think they're banking on two things. They're banking on the fact that nobody did that because most average users didn't know that they could and wouldn't bother even if they did. And they're turning it on by default because they know that most users won't change it, how to change it, and wouldn't even if they knew that they could.
I think they know that most people will look at that and say, data saver. I can understand these two words. 480p. I don't know what that is. No idea what that is.
I guarantee the way they explain this, they said they're going to tell people they're doing it, but I guarantee the way they explain it is going to be super disingenuous. It is going to make people think it's a great thing and there are no downsides.
Well, I mean, if they even say 480p, like...
Or they'll just say DVD quality, like T-Mobile always does.
I hate that phrase.
What DVD? We're not telling you.
Remember the time you watched a DVD in 2007? Yeah.
On your CRT TV.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's a thing.
It's annoying. I will say, you know what? I will be very interested to see how much my quality of service in LA improves once they turn this on. I'm not gonna lie, because I'll turn it off because I don't care. I'm rarely streaming video on the mobile network. But I mean, so the selfish part of me knows that people are out there like streaming Netflix on their mobile connection at 1080p because Like they don't care if there's like a quality adjuster or they're on a grandfathered unlimited data plan from the old iPhone days or whatever. So I'll be curious to see if it really doesn't result in market network improvements, because there's no incentive for AT&T to do this from a financial standpoint in terms of subscriber revenue, because it actually decreases their subscriber revenue because it decreases the likelihood you'll go over your cap. The incentive for them is to decrease the likelihood that you'll leave AT&T because the network is super shitty because everyone's streaming video. That's their incentive. That, and I guess maybe marginally reduced equipment costs. Probably not even really relevant. So, and I would, as a AT&T subscriber in the Los Angeles area, I would say that yeah, there are some headroom issues right now. Really, really big ones. So
didn't it come out that Netflix was doing this for AT&T and Verizon users anyways?
Yes.
I mean, I realize Netflix isn't the only streaming video service, but
yeah, YouTube.
I mean, I'm sure you probably wouldn't
the main goal for it. Yeah, so it's I'll be curious to see if it affects anything. I mean, I'm gonna turn it off on mine, but yeah.
All right. Well, we eagerly await your report, I guess. You gonna set a reminder for 3 months from now to check to see if your video streaming service.
That sounded like a really eager awaiting, Matt. I could feel the eagerness.
I'm eagerly awaiting, so that if I ever move to where it is that you live, and okay, that's not happening. So we can just stop that thought right here.
It's true. The restraining order prevents it.
Yes, it does. All right, so the hot sheet is up next because we're moving quick. So I didn't want to get to a word to our sponsor yet. So change in programming. OnePlus has announced the OnePlus 3T with Snapdragon 821, larger battery, and higher starting price. If I understand correctly, they've officially removed the OnePlus 3 from their store. So it is now the only OnePlus 3 is the OnePlus 3T.
Yes, the OnePlus 3 has actually been out of stock for a week or two anyway. They were obviously planning for this. So you can't get the regular OnePlus 3 anymore. So if you want that sort of device, you will have to get the 3T, which starts at $439 instead of $399. So it's an extra $40. And for that, you get the Snapdragon 821. You get a 3,400 milliamp hour battery instead of 3,000. And the front-facing camera is 16 megapixels instead of 8, I believe. And there is a 28 gigabyte storage option, but that one is another $40 on top of that. I mean, a $40 upcharge for double the storage is not bad. But at that point, you're at nearly $500 for a phone that, I mean, while really good for $400, I feel like once it gets up that high, it's a little, I don't know. You're getting up into like flagship phone territory.
Yeah, I was not gonna make a joke about killing flagships because I feel like they had a good thing going with OnePlus 3. Bringing out this phone seems to just say to me, yeah, what if we could make some more money on every OnePlus 3 we sold? Wouldn't that be good? And so they did.
And the display is the exact same as the last one, which I think was probably the biggest weak point of the phone, because at 5.5 inches, 1080p is a little bit not awesome, and it's an AMOLED, so there's the pen tile thing going on. It's just not quite as nice as I would have hoped for. This seemed like it would have been a good opportunity to get a different display, but I guess that would have been a lot more expensive, and they want to make money.
Yeah, I guess this is their, I wouldn't say I asked people on Twitter so much as I stated that why does this exist? And the consensus answer seems to be because holiday sales. So
I mean, I guess I feel like they would have sold plenty of the $399 version of this phone.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Maybe what happened? Maybe the OnePlus 2 killed the OnePlus 3, and so the OnePlus 3T had to be created.
But it also came out in 2016. So being a
That's true.
2016 flagship, it will be killed as well.
Well, maybe it's not the flagship.
Son of
I don't know how
flagship
that's
killer.
possible, but
Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure it'll be a very fast phone. I mean, it has the fastest 821 tier. Like, I think it's 2.3 gigahertz or something. I mean, I'm sure it'll be a very fast phone. Probably a little bit faster than the first one.
You know what else will be faster at? Getting updates.
They said that they're going to update both phones pretty much in tandem. I don't know if they'll be able to stick to that. But
Yeah. Okay.
no, you know what? I'm sure they totally will. They'll update both of them about 6 months after the Pixel phones.
yeah. Well, didn't they say that they were both going to get Nougat before the end of the year?
They have said that the OnePlus 3 would get Nougat by the end of the year. I don't know if that's actually going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they said it, so they said by the end of this month, the community build for Nougat will be out, right?
Yeah.
And they said by the end of the year for the release build, which that would be better than normal by OnePlus standards for sure.
Yeah, a lot better than last year.
Yeah.
Or I guess earlier this year.
A lot better than, say, ever, plus or minus.
Yeah.
All right. So interesting news. Samsung this week, despite losing billions of dollars on Note 7 fiascos, apparently still has plenty of money in their billfold because they shelled out $8 billion in cash to purchase Harman. A lot of people know Harman for their speakers and basically audio equipment for computers and the likes. But apparently they're pretty into car infotainment system or connected car software. So looks like that's Samsung's aim here to try to burst into that market a little bit. So,
yeah, I was not aware that apparently most of Harman's business now is car audio and interface stuff.
Yeah, the interface stuff is like that's a huge part of it. They're like basically car companies come to Harman and say, design our interface. And one of the ones they design that shows me Harman is a terrible interface designer is Honda. Like if you look at Honda's in-car infotainment system interface, it is a shit show. Like Harman is so I mean, what they basically do is they provide car makers a service, and that car makers then don't have to worry about the interface. That they're paying for a full service package, basically. Harman, probably sources all the parts, tells them what the bill of materials is going to be, gives them the firmware, and so the idea is they can pay somebody and they don't have to worry about this. But yeah, so Harman does have these deep relationships. Now, on the audio side, I can't, as much speak to what they do in cars. I'm not sure how many cars have Harman Kardon audio.
I feel like I hear that sometimes, but I mean that could mean a wide range of things. I'm sure there are different like tiers of speakers that they will, put in cars that could be branded exactly the same.
Well, the partners that they have listed are Alfa Romeo, Audi, Bentley, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Chrysler. Is that Ferrari, I believe? Fiat, Harley Davidson, Jaguar, Jeep, Lamborghini, Land Rover, Mini, Porsche, Rolls-Royce, Seat, Skoda, Toyota, and Volkswagen.
It's Seat. Just so like the one like person from Spain who listens to our podcast doesn't email us.
Seat.
Yeah.
But
yes. So they are really big into this. I mean, I would guess that Samsung's end game here is probably that they want to, let's say, evolve Harman's software that they use into something that Samsung can then have more tight control over.
Something based on Tizen, maybe.
And so then we'll see like Galaxy Auto or Galaxy Car or, I don't know. They'll come up with something much more original and stupid than either of those. But, it's... wait, did you call it Escargot?
That's pretty good. And apparently for the time being, Samsung is going to let they're going to let Harman continue to operate as an independent company. So you will not see like Samsung interface things yet on anything.
New from Harman, Samsung interface thing.
All right, I think it's time for a word from our sponsor, David. At some point, we're going to do a thing, right?
No.
Did David's stream crash or something?
I accidentally pressed the physical mute button on my microphone. Son of a
Nice.
bitch.
Okay.
We won't have the live ad in the episode. Everybody's already waited too long. I'm sorry about that. It'll be in the recorded show that 98% of our listeners listen to.
I mean, we did go out Linode in the chat room, so I think it's okay.
Yeah, you know what? Let me just do a quick plug for Linode. If you want a server, if you're looking for a host and you're looking for a good deal, price to performance ratio especially, good selection of locations, check out Linode. We're offering a free $20 credit for Linode services. That could get you 2 months of service on Linode's base tier. And so if you go to linode.com/Android Police, you can take advantage of that promotion today. There's no strings attached. It's just straight up, you get a $20 service credit for Linode. Use it however you want. And yeah, thanks again to Linode for sponsoring the show. And sorry that I pressed the wrong button on my microphone.
We forgive you, David.
I don't. All right, so we got some products to review this week. Starting with the Fab.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a little pre-review, a little taste of what's coming. The Fab 2 Pro. I don't know if you're watching the video stream. You will see this phone. This is gigantic. This is it compared to a Pixel XL. If you're listening to the audio, you should go and find this video just so you can see how crazy this is. The phone is gigantic. It has a 6.4-inch screen. This phone weighs over half a pound. It's basically it's a tablet almost. The screen is only slightly smaller than the Nexus 7, and it's got a Snapdragon 654. I think it's one of the mid-tier
2, I think, right?
650, yeah, probably, yeah, 652 sounds right. It's one of the mid-tier, like more recent Snapdragon chips. So it's not like super fast. I mean, at least it doesn't have the super like the extremely awkward software that Lenovo tends to put on phones. It's pretty close to stock, but there are a couple of like just weird changes. But of course, this exists almost entirely because of Tango. So when you get it, there's a Tango app on there that will link you to all of the Tango compatible apps and games. So you've got the cameras on the back there and the sensors, and then that fingerprint sensor, which is way, way, way too low. The camera right there is basically where my hand expects the fingerprint sensor to be every time I pick this phone up, which has been extremely annoying. So Tango stuff is neat, I guess. We're going to have more things on the site in the next couple of days just about Tango apps and how that works. But I will say right now, it feels like everything you can do with this phone is just sort of a tech demo. It's neat to use for a few minutes, but then I don't really see the utility for a lot of it. Like all of the games are essentially the same trick over and over again. Like there's a shooter where like monsters like come out of the walls at you, and like that's cool for 5 minutes, but then you do 3 levels of the same thing, and it's like I feel like this could be a part of a larger like gameplay experience, but when the entire experience is, hey, look how cool Tango is, I get bored with it.
Do you have the Amazon app?
Which Amazon app?
I don't know. I saw a demo of an Amazon app where you could put things from Amazon in your room. And it was cool.
I think that might not be a thing that exists yet. I haven't seen it. It might have just been a demo. But I mean, I do have the thing where you can put dinosaurs in the room, and that's probably my favorite thing so far. Just because it's neat. You can like, pick a spot where the dinosaur is going to be and like change the scale and walk around and like see it from different angles. It's fun. But I mean, I thus far fail to see how Tango is going to be like a thing people buy a phone for, and that's like the reason to get this phone is because you want to play with Tango. I can't imagine a lot of consumers are going to be like, yeah, I definitely want this massive phone that doesn't even fit in my pocket.
I think so. I think that Google worked with Lenovo on this and was like, hey, do you want to be the first company to make a device for Project Tango? And Lenovo like fell over themselves to be part of this, because they're like, oh, we're going to be the first to debut a Google product. It's going to be amazing. And so the marketing team at that point probably is like, all right, we have to figure out a way to make this like, marketable to normal consumers. Something that Google probably never even considered when they were talking about this partnership. Google's probably like, hey, could you just make something for like developers to build Tango stuff on that like, is reasonably workable and not a giant ugly tablet? It's just a giant ugly phone instead, please. And Lenovo's like, what if we put them in Lowe's? Wouldn't that be amazing? People go to Lowe's and buy the Tango device and do measuring stuff. And Google's like, that's nice, Lenovo. If you could just build the thing so that developers could develop on it, that'd be great.
And then Lenovo's like, hey, how about if we unveil it at our big event with the Moto Z?
Yeah, I feel like Lenovo is too excited about this, and Google's like, no. It's just if you want this, like if you want the Fab 2 Pro, it's because you're somebody who is either deeply interested in being on the bleeding edge of experiencing AR, or you're literally a developer who wants to develop AR experiences for Project Tango. And I would guess that it's mostly the latter.
I think a significant portion of their customer base, so they're expecting to be the kind of people that want to put Velociraptors on their desk.
Yeah. I mean,
you have to count those people.
Jeff Goldblum already has 3.
Yeah, I mean the Velociraptor.
I'm pretty sure he would not put a Velociraptor on his desk.
Okay, you know what though? I'm extremely disappointed. So in the original demo with the dinosaur app at the Lenovo thing, they showed like a T-Rex, and you could make it, like 1-to-1 scale of a T-Rex, which is gigantic. The T-Rex is not in the Dino app, and I'm not okay with that.
Ruined.
I need them
completely.
to add that.
You have to unlock it.
I don't know. I need them to add that ASAP.
That is major BS. Yeah,
I think you have to catch a dinosaur egg and hatch it or something.
Yeah, I have to walk 10 kilometers to hatch the T-Rex.
Yeah, I honestly find it really bizarre that Lenovo sent these out to people with like. I'm surprised Google was not like, we'll handle the evaluation process for the press guys. Don't worry about it. But I guess it's a Lenovo product, so
In all seriousness, though, I want the Amazon thing that Liam talked about. I just want that.
I don't know what you're talking about. I never said anything.
Maybe that was just a fever dream that Liam had one day.
Probably was. I had some bad crab cakes in California.
I mean, and if that isn't a thing, somebody should do it.
The episode title is actually "Bad Crab Cakes in California."
That sounds like the title of like a
It's alliterative, which I always appreciate.
There go all of our crab cake chefs from California.
All of them.
We're really whittling down our audience.
We are. No Shakira fans. No crab cake chefs. It's becoming quite a niche show.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about. Sorry, no. If
we were talking about crab cake chefs from Maryland, I think we'd have a much bigger audience. Just saying. All right. So in other product review news, the Asus ZenWatch 3 Ryan, you're busy this week.
I am, yeah. So, okay, yeah, actual review. You can go and read the whole review, ZenWatch 3. It's pretty good. I mean, if Android Wear was not in like kind of the weird state it's in right now, I think this would be an easy recommendation because it's a very good watch. Not everybody's going to like the way it looks, but I actually quite like it. I think it looks very cool in person, and I have had people on the street like just say, "Hey, that's a really cool watch," which they don't usually say about smartwatches. So
people are friendly in your neck of the woods. Then I guess people on the street don't ever talk to me.
Yeah. I mean, as Minnesota nice, as they say. But okay, so this is the first ZenWatch that is not square. So it has a fully round AMOLED screen, and it has an ambient light sensor, which is unusual for a round watch that doesn't have the flat tire, because usually, they would put the ambient light sensor there in the bottom cutoff portion. So the ZenWatch 3 actually has multiple windows around the perimeter of the face. So, you can get an auto light setting instead of manually changing it all the time, which is one of the most annoying things about using a smartwatch. It uses Snapdragon 2100, just like those new Fossil watches, but it seems optimized better. It's smoother than those watches and smoother than the other Android Wear watches I've used. Not that it's like amazing or anything. It's not. It doesn't feel like as fast as a phone does, really. But it's much more usable. I mean, it doesn't sort of lag when you're scrolling around through long lists and things like that. Let's see. Oh, it has fast charging, which I don't think any other watches have that I'm aware of. I might be wrong, but that's cool. It charges quite a lot faster than other watches I have used. And Asus also did like more changes to the UI of Android Wear than I have seen before. So like most of the like the settings and the app list and everything is like black or dark gray with gold text, which matches like the exterior of the watch, which is kind of a nice touch. One of the only things I am bummed about is that the band connection is non-standard. So it still has a quick release pin, but it narrows to like half the width of the rest of the band. So it's like the Huawei watch, but like more. So you won't be able to just buy, whatever band you want and slap it on the watch. But yeah, I mean, overall, good watch. If you are confident in Android Wear's future and you want to spend like $200 on a watch, sure, get this one.
I was surprised at how good it looked in photos. I was honestly expecting, when I saw Asus, I was like, well, the press renders will be really shiny. But yeah, no, it actually looks like the hardware looks nice.
Yeah, that like those first couple of leaks of the ZenWatch 3 from like whatever the Chinese regulator or whatever we got those from, it looked pretty.
Tina's always leaking things.
Classic Tina. Yeah, it looked pretty rough. But yeah, I mean, in person, it is actually a very handsome device.
Yeah, I'm definitely. It seems like especially the strap, looks like they learned some things from maybe Huawei and LG in terms of the strap quality. The lug design is interesting.
Yeah, I think that's the most questionable part. Is that like how that big angular external design for the lugs? I think it's okay though. I think it works overall with the design of the watch.
Also, most of their watch faces are pretty tragic.
Oh yes, yeah. I should point out, yeah, the watch faces. I would say half of them are terrible. Another quarter of them are not very good, and maybe a quarter of them I would say are legitimately good. But they have almost 60 watch faces, 60 watch faces. So if you install the ZenWatch Manager app, like I did because I'm testing it, I have right now 77 watch faces. Like scrolling through on my watch, there's 77 of them. I counted, which is just ridiculous. So like you have to go into the Android Wear app and like disable dozens of watch faces just to not drive yourself mad trying to find the ones you actually like. Asus needs to like change up the way they're doing the watch faces.
You know what you should do for Android Wear, and I mean, I realize that this is something that Google would hate, but But for watch faces, you should just be able to favorite certain ones and like star them, so they appear in a starred list of watch faces.
That would be fun. Yeah, you know, instead of like the recent list they have right now, like just make that the favorites. But yeah, it's like Asus just makes anything that anybody comes up with, like, sure, make that watch face, we'll put it on there. And they figure eventually they'll come up with enough good ones that everybody will find something they like. But yeah, the way they're doing it now is really annoying.
All right, there you go. So we do have some other news to get to, specifically some scary or quote-unquote scary news regarding some Chinese Android phones, including the Blue devices sold in the U.S. Apparently, spyware just recording everything you do and sending it to China. China.
Well, I think calling it spyware is maybe not exactly true, because the service that's doing this is supposed to be on the phone. It's the company that handles Blue's OTA updates. So the service that is supposed to be delivering OTAs to the phone was like, it has, you know, access to the system because obviously it has to. So it was misconfigured in some way to collect data that it did not need. And I mean,
just think of like a, you know, like user analytics thing that got drunk. Like that's basically what happened.
So, I mean, the company who the name of which escapes me, Ad Ups maybe, they claim that this was totally an accident. None of the data that was collected was used for anything because they didn't even know they were collecting it, and you know, just big mistake. So you can believe them or not if you want, but at any rate, the issue was discovered and a patch apparently is rolling out to disable that data collection. So as long as you accept OTA updates, which by the way are probably coming from Ad Ups, then this should be fixed.
Yeah, and so the thing people were primarily concerned about is the fact that it was collecting SMS messages. And so what this company said is that they had deleted all of the ones they received. I mean, again, like Ryan said, you can choose to believe that or not. I mean, I personally am inclined to say, yeah, they probably did, because honestly, what's the use of a bunch of it? It's not like this company is going to try to extort people based on the content of their SMS messages.
Everything I've been able to ascertain is this is a legitimate company that runs OTA servers for small OEMs. So it wouldn't really make any sense for them to like try to steal everybody's data.
That said, it doesn't at all reduce the kind of massive level of incompetence and scary, like scarily incompetent badness of all of this. Like,
yeah, I feel like this is just a consequence of the way Blue operates, which I mean, it doesn't oversee every detail of the process of making a phone. Like, they do co-branded phones with other small device makers. So yeah, I mean,
so the immediate fallout of this was very destructive to Blue, in that Amazon removed the R1 HD from its site. I don't know if they added it back yet. I remember that was the last I heard, that they had removed it, which makes sense.
Yeah, I think it was unavailable as of a day or two ago when I looked. I assume it's going to be back on sale.
Yeah, maybe. So that's obviously really bad for Blue. I think that this is mostly, it's a wake-up call to the fact that a lot of these no-name Chinese phones, and there are ones from other countries too, companies in other countries at least, I mean, they're all made in China, but there are certain things that, well, you know, you can say that the experience is basically the same and you're getting so much value for money. But even I, as somebody who's not terribly grievously concerned about data privacy, you know, for various reasons, yeah, this is a reason to stay away from, you know, maybe brands that play a little fast and loose with their firmware in terms of checking it over and making sure that, you know, data's going where it's supposed to be going. It's not like this is something like where they would have had to spend millions of dollars in research to figure out that this was happening. This was like, if only we had, you know, discovered, you know, that, oh wait, the phone is using all this data and it's going to this place. I bet it wouldn't have been too hard to find out. Obviously, somebody found out. So yeah, it just speaks to carelessness. And carelessness in one aspect probably entails carelessness in other ways too. So that's kind of what I would take away.
There it is. All right, so one last little bit of other news. Qualcomm this week announced their Snapdragon 835 chips along with the Quick Charge Protocol 4.0, which, correct me if I'm wrong, David, but this Quick Charge 4.0 protocol seems to fit in line with what the Google's recommendations are as far as quick charging technology. Is that,
no, Matt, you're so wrong.
Am I?
No, actually, you're right. It does. So it does. So this is awkward. I will say that I was in New York for the last 3 days with Qualcomm, and this is the news that we have published. The Snapdragon 835 exists. It has it's on a 10 nanometer Samsung process. That's the news. There's also Quick Charge 4.0, which we're able to publish more about. So Quick Charge 4.0, basically, this is tough. I'm not sure what I can say and what I can't. Anything that's in the slides that you see on our post, I can say, essentially. And to summarize that, the big thing with Quick Charge 4.0 is that they're moving to the USB power delivery communication protocol. So there's no longer going to be a Qualcomm Quick Charge, proprietary communication protocol. So the charging will take place over the USB PD standard. Now, you're thinking, your obvious question is, well, then why would I want Quick Charge instead of just USB PD regular? Like, what is the Quick Charge special sauce? And the answer, according to Qualcomm, is that theirs is safer, faster, and betterer in various ways. So they didn't get too into detail into how this works. Now they have the defensibility of saying, well, it's proprietary technology and we're not going to give away our secrets here. But part of it is in the way they lay out the PMIC and just various optimizations they say they're making in terms of heat. So they say that they're better at determining if a device is too hot to accept a certain level of power, something that could cause unsafe conditions, allegedly. I'll be realistic in saying that, yeah, they're 100% trying to take advantage of Note 7 fire hype right now with the safety aspect. I don't think there has ever been a serious issue with USB charging safety on smartphones. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. So as far as how this works out with the Android compatibility definition document, which is probably what you're more interested in, Qualcomm, I guess I can say this. I mean, what are they going to do? This is allegedly what they plan to do all along. The idea was that Quick Charge 3.0 was finalized well before USB power delivery was finalized. And so Qualcomm did Quick Charge 3.0 because, well, that's, they didn't have any guidance from the USB IF on USB-C and power delivery at that point. They did what they thought was best. USB or Quick Charge 4.0 is essentially a result of the fact that the USB IF now has guidelines and specification rules. And so Qualcomm is just getting in line with specification because, as they say, why wouldn't they get in line with specification? Would they have to lose in doing that? And I would agree with that. There's nothing that Qualcomm clearly loses by getting in line with the USB specification. Because especially when Google's saying that it's probably going to be a requirement eventually, that makes sense. As far as their claims about it being faster and more efficient, I mean, we don't have anything in the real world. No demonstrations were provided, so we don't really know. You can take Qualcomm at their word here. And as far as Qualcomm's motivation for keeping Quick Charge around, even when USB power delivery is a thing and they're compatible with the USB power delivery, well, at some point, money changes hands here. And I think it's the power management integrated circuit vendors that pay Qualcomm to use the technology. I think the accessory vendors and smartphone companies don't have to pay them to use it. I think it's the PMIC guys. I could be very wrong about this, but I know that at some point in the ecosystem, Qualcomm does make money on this, and making sure that there's incentive to adopt it essentially. So that's what we learned about it. There's more information in the specification sheets, and so one more thing, just so Qualcomm advertises the typical Quick Charge 4.0 power input as 18 watts, which is the same as Quick Charge 3.0. So how could it be 20% faster, or rather up to? And the idea is that Qualcomm has increased the thermal efficiency, so there's less thermal power loss, and they're better at predicting and adapting to how hot the battery in the device gets, and how much power to deliver than they were with Quick Charge 3.0. That's at least the overview.
All right, there you have it. All right, last little bit that we have to get to before the show is over. We've got a voicemail that came in late last week. We didn't get to it on last week's show. So, Dave, you able to roll that audio without your mic on mute this time?
Well, I could try. Let me.
Hello, AP. This is Matt with his unending list of questions. My question for this week is there any difference in the warranty or anything else as far as the experience and the reliability, the returnability, if necessary, of the Pixel phone if you do not buy it through Google itself? Obviously, the Google financing is only if you're buying it specifically through there. But as far as specifically the warranty is my primary concern. If you don't buy it through Google, is there any difference or any catches that someone would need to worry about? Thank you very much. I look forward to hearing your response. And David, no, I'm still alive, and I'm not calling from Cubs heaven.
So aren't there only the two places to buy it? Like at least
Project Fi.
Oh, well, but that still counts as Google.
And I guess Best Buy.
Best Buy, yeah.
Okay. Well, so I mean, if you buy it through any official channel, the warranty exists.
And I would say, actually, if you buy it through Verizon, technically you do actually have an advantage, because if it breaks, you can take it to Verizon and be like, shit's broken, yo. And
Yeah.
then they'll be like, okay, here's a new phone. So that's potentially an advantage. I don't see any disadvantage in that sense from buying from Verizon. Or as far as Best Buy, well, the disadvantage is that you could have to go to Best Buy. That seems to be that would be my concern.
Those are the Verizon phones, right, that Best Buy has?
Yes.
Correct.
So theoretically, you could take them to Verizon store, actually. So maybe there is no disadvantage there either.
Yeah, so I mean, as long as you're not like buying it from some guy on the internet, then your warranty is fine. I mean, if you buy it from Google and something goes wrong, they will, I think, overnight you a replacement, and then you send the old one back.
Yeah. So I would say there's probably not much real difference. If you are the kind of person who wants to go into a carrier store and tell somebody what your problem is, and maybe if the phone, especially if the phone bricks itself or something, or otherwise completely fails, you might have the advantage of being able to get a replacement device that same day if they have them in the store. Granted, the chance that Verizon will have your exact model, I don't think that's a guarantee. So there could be advantages to Verizon. Now, I wonder if you buy from Verizon, if you can just do this through Google anyway. I would assume you could, but I don't know that for a fact.
Well, but does Google have like Verizon replacement phones to send out?
Yeah, that would actually be a good question. So I wonder if they would see the IMEI and say you need to go to speak to Verizon. This is something that maybe somebody should look into. That's actually a good question.
We should ask Google about this.
Yeah, so who's got a Verizon Pixel and wants... So if you listen to this show and you have a Verizon Pixel, if you could open up the Google Support app and make up something wrong with your phone and say, for example, that, you know, the digitizer is telling you that the voices in your head are actually a result of, you know, I don't know, a modem failure on your device or lens flare. See what happens. See where they try to send you. See if Google will replace it. I could see that Google might have Verizon devices, or at least might go through Verizon to fulfill it. I could see that as being possible. But I would be curious to know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you have questions like Matt and you would like to get them over to us to get them answered, you can send us an email at podcast@androidpolice.com. Or, like Matt, you could call us at 530-HELLO-AP. That is 530-435-5627. You can also find us on Twitter at Android Police and on Google Plus and Facebook.
And once again, thanks to Linode for sponsoring the show. You can get a free $20 Linode service credit at linode.com/AndroidPolice.
Boom. Lens flare causes voices in my head.
Okay, I'm going to stop broadcasting.